Okay, so welcome back. I'm just going to walk you through the site, show you the tools, where things are, how to find stuff, and sort of just give you a general sense of what the class looks like on OpenLab. If you've never used OpenLab before, it's not that hard. I hate Blackboard because it's ugly for a variety of reasons, but there are things that it does better than OpenLab, and so we've got a few workarounds which I think are actually better than the ones that are on Blackboard. So that's my 2 cents worth about that. This announcements page is the landing page, or the home page. You'll always start off here. I update it pretty much every day. Put new course announcements, reminders of homework, due dates, and that kind of stuff on here. Kind of summarize things that are going on. It's just sort of my general information spot. And I also copy all this stuff onto the general channel on our Slack workspace, which I'll show you in a minute. But it's all here. And so here are the videos, and there's just a lot of information that I'll come back to in just a little bit, including the assignments to get you started for the course. Why it's got me with my hand up, I don't know, but you know, YouTube does its own thing. So let me just show you what these things are. The course info, the syllabus is here, one version of it anyway. The schedule, it will show you, you know, what's due when, what we're doing on each day. EOD means end of day. So if I say due EOD Thursday the 8th, it's due the end of the day, midnight, Thursday the 8th, and then what you'll be using. And I'll talk about Perusol and Padlet and stuff in just a minute. Okay, but it takes us through the whole term. It has links to things like the drive and where you'll be uploading stuff. All right, so that's what the schedule is. Contact info is just my email address, and then the link, the continuing link for the Zoom. Now, since we are an asynchronous class, meaning we don't have a set meeting time, I've got this sort of optional thing set up on Tuesdays at noon. People can drop in, I'll go over stuff, answer questions, I'll make a recording of them, and I will upload that recording onto our Google Drive, because OpenLab doesn't like Zoom recordings, I found. But it's all right here. This is also what we used if you and I want to have a conference. And in fact, if you're working or you want to Zoom meet with somebody else, you can. This is not a project-based class, so it's not as important, but it's always available. And there's my email address. And then the course readings, this is just a duplicate of what you'll find on the schedule. So it's more for backup than anything else. This is where most of the work lives, units and schedules. Like we start with Unit 1, and this is going to give you a little bit of overview of what goes on in this, or at least what's on the two sub-menus. This is the assignment sheet. It tells you exactly what the assignment is for the unit. Tells you more specifically about what is required, like this one's 1,000-word report, and how it's structured and what we're looking for in terms of the assignment. Also has a template for this particular report. So a lot of that stuff is right here on the assignment sheet overview. There's also a schedule. And my video lectures, this one's not up yet. There'll be video lectures here. And then this is pretty much exactly the same thing that's on the schedule. More detailed, in fact, because I change it as we go and I see what people need. But it'll tell you what we need, you know, what's going on, what the lectures are, EOD, everything that you need for this particular unit. So it's all here for all three of these things. Now, the final portfolio doesn't have a lot of stuff going on because it's just revisions of Unit 1 and Unit 2 pieces. And then a final 1,000-word reflection, which is sort of the history of your experience with the course. The blog are the posts, like we doing an introductory post, right? There are more assignments as we go along, but you'll get there. I'll come back to this. Tutorials, help, and resources. 3 things here. The class resources is the one we'll be using the most. Sorry, I'm losing my voice today. It's got, this one's important because it's got a nice video tutorial that I made about how to create a post on OpenLab using the block editor. If you've used OpenLab before, you may not have used the block editor. You may have used the classic editor. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you do, it's way better and a lot easier because you can embed, you can just you can get the share URL from Slack and drop it in and it'll show up, which is how I'm doing these. So it's much better. It's how to use it. Here's a download with pretty much the same thing that's in the video to show you how to create it. I'm going to come back to Perusol in a minute, but it's where all our readings live, really. And it's an annotation tool, so you can comment on the readings, answer my questions there, and I'll come back and answer your questions. You can talk to each other about the annotations. You put reply and get a conversation going. Students really liked it. I used it last term. I've used it for two terms, actually, and people really like it. It's really simple to get on Perusol. I'll walk you through that in a minute, but this is more information about how to set it up, how to do annotations. Slack, my students love Slack, mostly because I tend to sit on my phone and answer Slack calls when I'm not, asleep or otherwise engaged in the shower. So you can get hold of me really fast. But if you've never used Slack before, it's kind of like Discord, if you know that one, or WhatsApp. It's the same idea. You don't have to give anybody your email address or your phone number to use it. So, and it's a tool that's being used a lot in the workplace these days. So it's kind of good practice for real world kinds of stuff. Then there are other things down here that we'll be looking at later in the term. So this is an important one. The college resources is sort of, linked to advising, a library, financial aid, that kind of stuff. The Writing Center, we are actually closed for the summer. But the website is still live. And then Open Lab Help, if you really get stuck and you need something fast, this will give you help on how to do something, right? This is the same link that I put on Blackboard and in the welcome letter. So this should look very familiar to you. And then the last thing over here is the Google Drive. This is where you will go to submit your drafts of stuff, right? If you've never used Google before and use the drive, you just click on the folder and then New, File Upload, and grab something from, your computer, open, and it'll show up here. If you want to start a new document, click on Google Docs and it'll create a new one. This just says it's going to share everything. It's going to share it in this folder and everybody will be able to see it. I love Google Docs. And then one of the reasons that I use Google Drive for uploading stuff is it's really easy for me to make comments on. I won't put grades on here, but I will make my comments and notes here. And we'll give each other some feedback a couple of times too. And so it's really easy to do comments and stuff on the drive, where it's almost impossible on Blackboard. So that's what we use the drive for. There's also a place for the meeting recordings on Tuesdays. I'll put them here. Like I said, OpenLab does not like Zoom recordings, but Google does. So I'll put them here for you. Right? So that's the drive, and that's this. So let me show you the other tools that we're going to be using, one of which is Perusol, which is important because you're going to be using that almost immediately. Perusol, if you go to, I guess it's down here. Okay, perusol.com. Very, very simple to join. You just go to perusol.com and there it is, right? perusol.com. It's one high, and then click on login. Now, if you haven't registered before, it'll ask you to register. Give them an email address, and you can use any email address you want. Okay, this is for you, and a password. It will send you a confirmation email. You click on the link and come back over. When you come back, it'll ask you, what do you want to join, and you'll ask if you're a student or faculty. You say, I'm a student, and then there is a code, which is right here, this code for joining Slack. Okay, and so you put that code in, and let me sign in, and you'll see my courses. You should only have one, and here's the course. There are a couple of things to look at. One is the library. This has just got everything. The folder's not up here yet, but it will have all the lectures, all these video lectures, not this one, but starting with Discourse Community, will be in a folder here, so you can always get to it. The nice thing about this is you can annotate those video recordings. If you have a question, if I get to a point in the lecture that you don't understand, there's a way you can hit a little stop button on the top right hand corner of the frame, and it'll stop and you can ask a question and then keep going. So I can see what's going on. So you can actually talk back to me in the lecture with the recorded lectures, and they will be here in the library, although they're not here yet. The other thing is the assignments. Like the first assignment is to look at the syllabus. So let me show you how to do an annotation. It's pretty simple. I'll give you all these assignments in the schedule, so you won't be trying to figure out what's going on. So you open it, and there it is. So to comment on something, you just highlight a little bit, and this a little balloon will show up. A little chat box will show up. You enter your comment, and you can add emojis, you can add images, you can link out to someplace else, you can even insert a video if you want to. And then you hit submit. And to reply to somebody else, you can either, depending on the circumstances, you can either click on the reply button, or you can just add them, and their name will pop up, and they'll be able to find it more easily. So it's a very simple tool to use. And as I said, my students have all loved it. One of the assignments that you'll be doing for the discourse community thing, there's an article that elicited an awful lot of conversation in the spring when we used it. So it's very simple to use it. Right here is the assignment part of it again, what to do, what you're supposed to do, so you can just turn that off. This little button I don't have any conversations, we'll put all the conversations, all the things that have been highlighted available for you, right? You can also go up here to all comments, my comments, others' comments, I usually use all comments just so I can see everything. So that's Perusol. Perusol is pretty cool, and I think you'll like it. Right? So that's that one. The other tool that we'll be using, of course, like I said, is Slack. And I just got to click it up. This is our Slack workspace. This channel, like it says, get announcements and course updates from me here. Pretty much anything that goes on the announcements page on OpenLab will show up here. Questions and comments. You got a question about an assignment or something that's going on in the class, something you want to ask me about, drop it in this channel, okay? And then this one is just for anything, jokes. I've had, was it last fall? I think it was last fall. It was filled with Mandalorian gifs, because that's me. What can I say? So people were suggesting movies and games and comics, and this is just kind of the fun place to put stuff if you want to. So that is Slack. And the other thing about Slack is you can DM people, which means it's a private conversation between you and whoever you DM. Duh. So people DM me all the time when they start complaining about something I'm doing, or somebody about a student in the class, or whatever. So you can DM each other. You can DM more than one person at a time if you want to. So that is Slack. And I think that's pretty much it in terms of, this side. This is about, you can search the course, but this is only for the posts, not for the pages. So once we get some posts up, you can click on a category. Right now the only category is introductions, which I'll show you in a second. And it will pop up, submit, and it'll pop up all the posts that are in that category, which is me. Me. That's not me, that's my cat. That's Button, who's cross-eyed. Okay, so that's the search function. There's a grade book. You can check your grade. Recent posts. Now here's a thing on more help. Now once people post their introduction, and please do that soon, because that's how I A, set the grade book up, and B, I create a list of members in the course, which will be listed here. So if you're looking, you say, oh, I think that somebody did this post about a really interesting introduction, and I can't remember, I want to go back and comment on it or ask them a question, you'll be able to click on their name and go right to the work that they've done. It's really helpful for me, and again, my students like being able to find each other more easily on OpenLab than normal. Right, so that's on the right hand side. Go back to announcements, and now let me talk about the homework. The assignments through day one, okay, is it gets a little crazy. We won't start on Unit 1 until the 7th. That video lecture is not done yet, but it will be shortly. So there's no sense in going forward if you're seeing this before the 6th. Okay, so here's the Zoom link, the video. Now, these are the things that you need to do. Assignment 1 is go to Perusol and annotate the syllabus. Seriously. Okay, the syllabus. You can open it, and if there's something you don't understand or you don't like, just highlight it and say, what? Or we did this in another class and it was really cool, or we did this in another class and it was horrible, I hated it, and I hate you and you need to change it. Okay, so that's what you can do. That's the first assignment, is to annotate. This is information about how to make a good annotation. Now we're going to be using this the whole term. As you can see, there's quite a bit of the reading is in there. So look through this. I'll come back and mention it again. How to do good annotations. Not all at once, right? Ask a question, answer a question that somebody else had. It's kind of great if you can answer somebody else's question. It means you got it, and sometimes people are more willing to listen to another student than they are to me. Hey, I get it, no problem. All right, so do that. You can add a link. You can add a YouTube video, whatever. Right? Be polite. Netiquette rules are in play here. So if somebody is abusing other people online, or they're acting inappropriately, I will bounce you out of this class so fast you won't be able to believe it. Okay, so just be nice to each other. Be respectful. I used to work in the entertainment business, and I've had people say horrible things to me that you wouldn't believe, and so that kind of stuff, people being mean to me, doesn't bother me. But being disrespectful of your fellow students, that'll get me wound up. So just be polite, be nice, be respectful, and it'll all be good. You can clarify something if you're trying to figure out things. Connect or extend something in your world, whatever the reading connects to something you're doing. Put a comment in there. It's kind of fun. That's how conversations on Perusol get started. Be sure to reply to each other. Yeah, there are lots of crazy wild threads on some of these things. So that's the first assignment, is to go annotate the syllabus in Perusol. The second assignment is to just create a post here on Open Lab where you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are. And you must include an image like this. So you'll be practicing adding images as well as doing the writing. So this is all more about how to do it, but the best way to do it is to go look at the video tutorial and then play. And if you get confused, ask me a question on Slack, and I'll jump in and I'll help you figure out how to make it work. Right? So that's what you do. Once you get both of them done, you can go to Unit 1 Discourse Community Report and look at what's going on there. And wait for the video lecture to show up, which I'll get done in a day or so. So that's it. Welcome to the class. If anybody's got any more questions, send me an email, send me a text on Slack, and let's have some fun.